There's this incredible, invisible process happening all around you, right this very second. It's something that powers every single living thing on our planet. It works silently, constantly, and get this, without it, life as we know it just wouldn't exist. So, what is this hidden engine of life? Well, let's pull back the curtain.
I mean, we've all been there, right? You're sitting in the living room, and then suddenly you get that amazing smell of freshly baked bread wafting in from the kitchen. How does that happen? How does that aroma actually make the journey all the way to you? Well, the answer is a process called diffusion. And at its heart, it's just the natural tendency for things, for molecules, to spread out, to move from a really crowded space to one where there's a bit more room to breathe. That's pretty much it. And that simple, random movement, well, it turns out it's the key to almost everything.
And believe me, this is about so much more than just nice smells. This exact same process is what lets our bodies get energy from our food. It's literally how we breathe. And it's how plants grab the carbon dioxide they need to make the oxygen we all depend on. It's this invisible, yet absolutely essential force of nature.
Okay, so if this one single process is doing all that heavy lifting, what is actually going on at a microscopic level? Let's dive in and really get to grips with the science behind it all.
So here it is. At its core, diffusion is simply the movement of particles from an area where there's a lot of them to an area where there are fewer. It's a natural spreading out, all driven by the random jiggling and bumping of molecules, and it just keeps going until everything is evenly spread. But, and this is crucial, the speed of this process can change. It's influenced by four key things, which are kind of like the rules of the road for diffusion.
So, what are these rules of the road? Well, think of them as dials you can turn up or down. Each one acts like either an accelerator or a brake, controlling just how fast this whole process happens. First up is temperature. This one's pretty straightforward, really. When you heat something up, you're essentially giving its particles a shot of espresso, more kinetic energy. They start zipping around like mad, bumping into each other more often and spreading out way faster. So, higher temperature means faster diffusion. Simple as that.
Next, let's talk about surface area. Imagine you're in a packed concert hall with only one tiny door. It's going to take ages for everyone to get out, right? But what if you could open up an entire wall? People would flood out in no time. It's exactly the same for molecules. A bigger surface area gives them more doorways to move through, which massively speeds up the rate of diffusion. Then we have what's called the concentration gradient. Just think of this as the difference between the crowded area and the empty one. The bigger that difference is, the steeper the slope between them, the stronger the push for those particles to move. It's like a waterfall. A really steep drop means seriously fast-flowing water. And finally, diffusion distance. Now this one is just plain common sense. The shorter the journey from point A to point B, the quicker you're going to get there. It's no different for a molecule. And in biology, this is why the membranes where all this exchange happens are often incredibly, unbelievably thin. It's all about making that journey as short and as efficient as possible. Okay, so that's the physics of it. But here's where it gets really amazing. How does this simple, random process become the actual engine of life? Why should any of this matter to you? Oh, every single living cell, from a tiny bacterium to the trillions of cells in your own body, is wrapped in something called a membrane. And this membrane isn't some solid brick wall. It's more like a very picky bouncer at a club. It's a gatekeeper, letting essential molecules like oxygen just diffuse right on through, while keeping a close eye on everything else.
So, what's the point of all this gatekeeping? Well, it lets living things do three absolutely critical jobs. First, to bring in the good stuff, nutrients and oxygen. Second, to get rid of the bad stuff, the waste products like carbon dioxide. And third, to perform that constant gas exchange we need for respiration, the very process that gives us the energy to even think about all this.
And this stuff is happening all the time, everywhere. After you eat, the nutrients from your food diffuse from your small intestine into your blood to give you energy. In your lungs, it's a constant trade-off. With every breath, oxygen diffuses into your blood, while at the very same time, carbon dioxide diffuses out so you can breathe it away. It's happening right now as you listen to me. When you take a step back and look at the big picture, it's just mind-blowing. One of the most complex things in the entire universe, life itself, depends so completely on such a simple, fundamental law of physics. And here's the most incredible part. The movement of every single one of those particles is totally random. There's no boss, no blueprint, just pure, unadulterated chance. And yet, the result of all that beautiful chaos is order. its function, its life. Which really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Without this elegant, unguided, completely random process, could any of this possibly exist at all?